Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid, so roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So we do look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes to help you understand why your person's doing what they're doing, right? A lot of times, person that we're connected to, if they're a past life karmic mate, we notice that they wear masks, they create illusions. We feel one thing, they do another. We don't really understand why they do what they do, but we know that they trigger us. And when we get triggered, it's almost like that's how the karmic knows what to do. It sounds crazy, but it's like karmic people, past life karmic mate people, what you'll always notice is that there's like an emotional disconnection. Like it's almost like you feel like they don't care, that they don't feel. And I feel like it's because of disassociation. And if a person doesn't like who they are, they're not going to really be mindful of anything except for what their own needs are because they don't like themselves because they are seeing themselves from a lack mentality. So that lack mentality is I don't have enough, I'm not good enough. Is usually taught to us first in childhood, and then we continue to live experiences, but we continue to live those experiences because we create habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with those experiences. So we always want to know what we're dealing with, but what's the most important thing when we're doing these type of readings, these shadow readings, it's all about your own healing. If you're connected to someone that keeps hurting you, that keeps betraying you, that keeps self-sabotaging you, like these are your karmic themes that you feel like you continue to learn, like to live through, like that's what the universe keeps bringing you, the people that they don't have good intentions. They're on a lower vibration, as what we call them. They're negative people because they need healing. So they have bad habits, bad behaviorisms, but it all stems from a poor lack of character. Anything that's out of alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of the universe, and the laws of nature are what is really imbalanced. So again, anything that's out of alignment with those laws, because they're all the same thing. They're all driven from God, because God created the world. God's energy is love. God's energy is ubiquitous. God's energy is inside of us. It's known as spirit. So again, God is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscience, which means it's everywhere. When we have spiritual blockages, they're psychological and emotional. We're only in physical form to learn and to manifest. Our energy vibration becomes whatever those experiences were. And then we take on an identity and begin to live from that level of consciousness. So to break the karmic cycles, we have to be aware of not really what that person does. However, how that person triggers us allows us to look and see what we need healing in. This is how we can learn to stop the karmic looping that keeps us in a place of limitation, lack, victimization, betrayal, all these lower energies, because then it always seems like, well, then I can't trust. If we don't heal, then we're always going to be coming from a place of I don't trust me. So I have to put up these big boundaries, or I have to overcompensate for that perception. And what you're doing is you're winding up cutting yourself off from love a lot of times. So that doesn't mean to go with a toxic person. What it means is if you were around a toxic person and you got out of that connection, you still have the habits and behaviorisms from that toxic connection. So you wind up creating the same exact experience. And it's because we become overcompensating, we become needy, we become codependent. And so the perception that we need something outside of ourselves to be whole is where the illusion comes from. That's how we know we're imbalanced. So that's why we do shadow readings, because we want to be able to embrace our spiritual sovereignty. We want to be able to really live our own heaven on earth. And the only way that that can happen is if we perceive that we're whole and if we understand the rules of the game, right? A lot of times people don't understand the rules of the game because scripture is like a man-made thing, first of all. And then it's also like it's hard to read sometimes, it's hard to translate. So, you know, I like to incorporate it within my readings because we can see again the rules, how to heal the effects of that trauma. That's why it's called transpersonal psychology. It's that you're transcending the limitations of the mind, the ego. The ego is limited. The ego is all about your survival. Remember that. So we don't want to come from a place of survival. We want to come from a place of thriving and succeeding and being abundant and being like so full of love and light. That's what we want to come from because anything else is pain and suffering. All right. The war on consciousness is going on, so you better know. The word is unlocked DNA. The hell does that mean? Well, unlocked DNA is that it's our habits and our behaviorisms that activate our DNA. Sickness and disease is only 5% inherited. So you're breaking generational karma, ancestral karma, which isn't the generational karma. So understand, like we inherit our parents' habits and behaviorisms, and when that happens, we if the habits are good, obviously, then we're going to create a good life. But if the habits are bad, then we sabotage our life because really what creates a strong foundation is our habits. And it's really how much you love yourself. So you notice that people that, have a drug addiction, they have alcoholism, they have whatever it is, gambling addiction, anything that we do outside of ourselves, that need, that codependency. So unlocking DNA for you is I feel like you were in a codependent connection and you just got tired of it. Because codependency isn't just about being in a relationship where you're the doer and the fixer. Understand, it's also when you ran after that person and you wanted them to be everything that you wanted them to be. Like in your mind, if we have a connection to someone and we, are in the need of feeling like I need someone to love me, I need someone to care about me, and I perceive that this person can do that because I have a strong connection to them, because I understand them, because I love them. I feel like I'm the person. So the person makes another person all about their life. They don't have a life. Their life is that connection. And I feel like in the beginning of this connection, it was almost like that. You were always with this person. You were always with this person, and you were like, I don't really like, this is my person. However, over time, this person would trigger you. You felt like you needed to be their parent. You needed to tell them what to do. You were the fixer, always pouring, pouring, pouring into yourself, into that person rather, not into yourself. And that's the problem. When we don't love ourselves enough, we're not loving the God that's inside of us. So when we don't love the God that's inside of us, well, then what winds up happening is there's karmic consequences. See, we have free will to create whatever we want to create. That includes undesirable life experiences. you know, I hear all the time, like, this is not, fair. Like, if there was really a God, I wouldn't have, I would, not be, suffering like this, where really the life is not heaven. This is not heaven. Earth is not heaven. We're not supposed to be part of earth. We're supposed to be spiritual beings having human experiences. So again, embracing your spiritual sovereignty is reliant on the God that's inside of you and tapping into the higher self. And the higher self is a God part of you where really discernment comes about. But if we're not balanced, because again, you're pouring so much into someone else, you're not getting your needs met, then the perception is that you can't really have, or that you get love only by doing and giving, and you don't even really feel comfortable sometimes even getting, because it's like it doesn't really happen. And when it does happen, it's like it's uncomfortable. So there's an emotional thing that happens when there's a poor foundation with any connection. And so, again, everything happens in the spiritual world long before it happens in the physical realm. Know that. We're only in physical form to learn and to manifest, to be the expression of love, to do what we love. That is what helps us to connect collectively to other people. We have a common interest. It's again, that's how you make friends. Friendship's something that evolves over time, tried and true, and it happens again gradually because sometimes people have the wrong perception of other people and then they get to know them and they're like, that person's not that person. And they like that person, but only time. So people that rush things that emotionally are not filled with love, really, because they don't love themselves, wind up getting things like cancer. And the reason why is because they wind up in poor relationships. They wind up, again, having bad habits. That's why unlocked DNA is usually important because it's our habits and behaviorisms that again turn our genes on and off, certain genes on and off. So we can avoid that. And that's what it says. That's where you're at. Now, I don't think that it was all the time that way. I think that your habits for a long time were like the same. And that could be I woke up late, I went to bed late, I ate bad, maybe I drank a little too much, maybe I slept around a little too much, whatever it is, it's like you're healing it. So that's your energy. So when we tap into this person's energy, how do they feel about your healing? Like that, what you see is it's like this person feels like you're their soulmate. They feel it's like almost like, and I feel like you disconnected from this person to like actually say, I want to be in better energy. I want to love myself. And so what you'll notice is that there was always a connection, but you cared more about this person. Now you feel like this person all of a sudden cares more about you. Well, you're in a better energy, but there was always a karmic tie. So no matter what, until the spiritual lesson that you have with this person actually plays out all the way, the karmic cord, I don't think will actually be blocked. Blocked. This person has a lot of hostility now. And it's like because I feel like you're not giving them anything. And they're like, you're my person. I know you're my person. I used to be able to come back and forth, pop up when I wanted to pop up, come around when I want to come around, do what I want when I want. And you're always so nice and so giving and really what it is at this point, you're just like, I don't really want to do that. If anything, you're hostile with this person because you're like, just leave me alone. And it's like, why won't you leave me alone? The whole time you didn't want to give me anything. Now all of a sudden you want to give me something. Well, I'm on a different path. And that's because you triggered their abandonment. You triggered this is a trauma bond. When you're unlocking DNA, that means you're healing yourself. You're healing yourself from a spiritual perspective first, which is a psychological and emotional perspective. It's connected to that anyway. And then really the hostility is the fact that you're shining your light. And this person is like has anxiety about you moving on. I feel like they didn't think that you were going to move on or that the connection could never be broken. The issue is that this person is really insecure. So I feel like there's a part of them that doesn't even know what to do. And understand too, when you're unlocking DNA, you're learning too that security comes from doing and becoming. And as you change, you're evolving. This person is worried about you now because it was all about control, I feel like. It's like this person had feelings, but they were childish the whole time. The whole time they were childish. And so again, they would just breadcrumb you or come in and out of your house, like home, here for a good time, not a long time, you know, um, acted like you were a conquest, if anything. Because again, that being childish means they're not emotionally intelligent, they're not transparent, they don't really know what they want. And so insecure. And so this is why I feel like you were like, I need to get you the fuck out of my life because of this energy. It doesn't mean enough to me. You actually have the wisdom, the knowledge also, and that's higher knowledge, spiritual knowledge, which just comes from knowing, which happens when you heal. You just want to change. It's like we're not supposed to stay the same. We have to get to a point where we want to be different. We want to change. We want to evolve. This person like is really unable to free themselves from like sticky situations that they're in, and that's the issue. It's like they get tangled up because they act like everyone's a conquest, but they come in pretending that they really want a relationship. So they have a lot of people and they pretend that they really want a lot of relationships. Once they emotionally get those people connected to them, then they toy with them. They're childish. And so if you have something to say to this person that they don't like, well, then they're just going to go to somebody else and they're going to punish you. They're going to stonewall you, and then when you say something to them, it's almost like they don't want to hear it. It's like, and they're going to act like, again, you were nothing but a conquest, a fling, if anything, to make you feel bad. So what happens is that they wound up they ruin everything. They left this connection in ruins and they know that now. So again, for whatever reason, this person now is like all in this energy, but it's normal almost because this was always a divine connection. It's not like it wasn't. Divine connection means that yeah, this person was always a past life karmic mate, but they could have stepped it up to a twin flame level at any time. I mean, in one lifetime, eventually they're going to do that, eventually, but obviously not in this relationship unless they came back and they apologized and did like a 360, and that would take time. And I don't know whether you want to do that. So understand this person has too much fear. Again, there's only two energies, love and fear. They're more in the energy of fear. So again, the fear is an illusion. That means that this person's living in the past. They don't trust themselves. And so they're basing their life on whatever's happened. And so again, they would be looking for like somebody to like fix them. So I feel like the fact that they see, oh, like you do so well for your life and like you can help me with mine. So again, codependency. And what you know is codependency and narcissism go hand in hand. They do. So again, what this person doesn't have access, they have addictions, and in eating one is that they're pushing down those emotions. They're pushing down those emotions, and you might have had that too. It's a very common, thing that people do to avoid the emotions. But when this person feels out of control, and they feel out of control now because they don't have control over you because you're again working on yourself, well, what are they doing? It triggers all their insecurities. And again, they're eating themselves. That's a way to like it's control. It's numbing. It's numbing the pain. It's avoidant because this person feels really truly inadequate because you're making them feel that way because the way that they really thought you were going to respond was not that. They thought that you would respond by, we have a connection, this connection, and it's like it's not enough. It's like because what happened is they didn't give you anything because they were coming in and out of your life being childish. um they were fooling around with other people. So, that you play with fire, you get burned. So maybe they got someone pregnant and they have to again attend to that. Maybe again they were in a connection and they can't get out of it, and but they're not happy. It's again, so they need a supply. There's a lot, again, when people have conquest and they're dating a lot of different people, it's it's because they don't know what they want, but they don't know what they want because they don't know who they are. And if they don't know who they are by a certain age, you better believe that they've gone through trauma and they haven't healed it and they became their trauma and hurt people. So remember that. So again, the feeling of losing control is the hostility. And again, you just felt like, again, being in a relationship with them, it's like you don't bring anything to the table. It makes me feel empty inside. Well, that's their thing because hurt people. So emotionally, again, anytime you had something to say that, whatever your needs were, so a need, your feelings, whatever, they went unheard. That's again what this issue was. It was about knowing your worth because this person came in and look at their life. Their life is a mess. They live by their addictions. Someone that has a bunch of conquests, like dating a bunch of people, they're not having a relationship with anybody. Someone that has an eating disorder, well, you could bet they have other addictions too. It's escapism, and it's because they don't deal with their shit. So people that don't deal with their shit, they're not present. They're living in the past. And so when we live in the past, we miss the opportunities of the moment. Only in the now do we get divine guidance through gut intuition, inner knowing, and that's through an inner walk. We have a walk, right? Every day it's a faith walk. We don't really know what is going to happen, what's going to transpire. But we try to show up every day and we put it out there every day the best way that we know how. And we have faith that it's a faith walk. And in the right time and in the right moment, everything comes into alignment. We have to be patient. And that's hard to do. If you have a lot of trauma, you're always feeling like it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out. So part of this upgrading DNA is the fact of loving yourself and trusting in the fact that there's a higher power that's guiding you, where this person's stressed. But they expected you to be stressed. That's the thing, because again, they are a player. Again, they were judging you the way that they judge everybody else. They understand the way that they reacted is the way that they always react. It's not, and that's where they made their mistake because you're not like everyone else at this moment. Didn't I tell you that they would have other addictions? I mean, we have a whole deck of cards here, and it's like, and I told you that it would come out because it's all avoidance. It's all suppression of the emotions so that this person can strategize instead and understand they can't really strategize this anymore. So this is what they do and this is what they feel. And so the judgment. So, but they already know what that judgment is. The fact that you would say, hey, you're a narcissist, you're full of fear. You keep the relationship in a place of disempowerment because, I mean, imbalance really keeps you in a place, keeps the relationship in a place of imbalance, which is, because they always want to make you sad. They get off on it to drain your energy. So they're very negative. And that's really what the problem is. It's like you can't be in a relationship with somebody that, has expectations of you, but then is going to withdraw from you and then expects again you to be consumed with them and does things to make you consumed with them. That's again putting you in a victim state consciousness, all because they feel like this, like they don't fit in anywhere, that they were in a world of their own. They're a rebel without a cause. You know, they want to stay in denial. Again, but all the while they're keeping you weary, draining your energy, pretending that they're unaware of their excessive addictive behavior of putting you in a place of submission. So you were like, no. You can see it's again being a relationship, it's all toxic energy, and the fact that you got away from them and they have to like get their supply from somewhere else. They just expected you to fight harder, is what I see. And when we say, okay, well, does a person have any feelings for me at all? At all? Like, I can't believe they don't have any feelings at all for me. Well, it's like, it doesn't mean that they don't, but it doesn't mean that they don't, but understand that they could love you, but as much as they can love you. And if there is someone that really is a narcissist, they will always betray you. It doesn't matter whether they love you or not. That's why we do these readings. Is to understand the chemistry is off the charts. Because who would stick around? Right? Who would learn the lesson? So again, this is a past life karmic mate. It's like it's you think that they're a soulmate, a twin flame, because the connection is so powerful and profound. Otherwise, listen, this person wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. But the truth of the matter is that they run away to avoid facing their problems. And that's it. It's like they can't really until they heal, it's always going to be that them trying to do that. But don't, yeah, there's a telepathic bond. This person can feel it because they were a past life karmic mate. It's again, they had the potential to step it up. They didn't do that. It's so there is love there, but you make them nervous because it's like, they played games and that's the way that they're navigating. They're used to surface relationships. This isn't a surface relationship. It's not surface because it's a past life connection. So they had the opportunity again to step into a better version of themselves to create balance for themselves. They didn't want to do that. It's like they didn't want to do it. Now that you're doing it for yourself because you're done being like, I'm not going to give you, I'm tired of sitting here and not getting anything. Treat me like I'm a conquest. What am I doing? Let me pour into myself. Now, of course, like I said, because of their issues, you triggered their abandonment. You're making them look at their life and they're like, understand they were narcissists. They are not working on themselves. So do you think that they would possibly come in and give you something good? They might try, but they still, are who they are is what I'm saying. It's like, and who are they? Well, they still have clouded vision and they would want you to have clouded vision, understand. And they still have like an argument, like they're still wounded. So, and the thing is, and because they would want to be in control, they're still prideful, they still would want to be dominant, and that would come out as them not respecting you. So it's again, and hoping that you again had clouded vision to it, but they're clouded too. They don't understand what they do. They don't intentionally do this. That's the wound. This is why you would have to pay attention, even to know why can't I get back together with them when they come back crying and when they come back, pleading, it's like, or if they do, well, the reason why is because again, they would want you to have clouded vision and to, and to be prideful and to be dominant, and that's their problem. Not saying that I don't see them like again coming back because I feel again they're too prideful. But if they ran into you, if they did, the thing is I don't really feel this person putting in that much effort. And the reason why is because they're childish. It's like they're childish. They don't really like want to do that. They just don't want to like miss their chance. It's almost like I don't want to give you, but I don't want you to get away either because we had this connection. So if you go on to live a better life, and this is, I guess, why I'm getting irritated because I almost feel like it's like if you go on to live a happy life, well, then that's really going to accentuate the fact that maybe you're better than them that you got away, that they had an opportunity to be with you. They didn't take it, they didn't do it. They don't want to feel that way. So they would rather just come in and to be turbulent, understand that. Like they would create a lot of turbulence within the relationship. And they would do that because, again, hoping that you wouldn't read between the lines, but this person, like, would be consumed with them, and that's what they want. They want to be consumed again in a fog, like a clouded vision in a fog. It's all the same thing. Like they're not aware, and it would be like more of an entanglement with you, where they would get you to be all like swept away in the romance, but they would go back to like having a fling because they haven't healed. But understand there is a sense in their mind, like, I really, really want to be with you, but they haven't healed. So this is how it would play out within their behaviorisms. Do they know that they would do that? No, we know that because of the psychological and emotional wounds that they have, that these are the behaviorisms that come from when you don't like yourself and when you can't fulfill yourself, and how to recognize it is why we talked about it, because like I said, it's really important to recognize. And so you have to also say, why did you attract this person into your life? Because you already know, hey, this is who this person is. They want to come back now that you're healing yourself, but they're not, their life isn't good, and why you shouldn't be in their life. But we have to understand, again, why would you attract that person into your life? Like person that is just so childish, that still wants to be a player. That's what it looks like. Still wants to be a player and is just very childish and pretends to, not know sometimes, and is avoidant and withdraws, and other times just really doesn't know. Why would you get that person? We have to look at your inner child wounds, time and attention, outdoors and nature, optimism, naive, imagination, resilience. It's so funny because it's like I'm not feeling like these are any bad cards. Okay, neglect. I spoke too soon. So I feel like you didn't get time and attention. You were kind of emotionally neglected. Maybe again, or maybe you kind of feel like you raised yourself a little bit. Or again, whatever it was, the time and attention and the neglect to me is that there was a lack of emotional support. But in some families, I think it was more. It was like just neglect, just depends on what the neglect is. But spirit says, it doesn't matter if it was a lot of neglect or a little neglect. There's only two energies, love and fear. Even if you have a little bit of, well, I kind of felt like that, you would still get a person that's needy, and still might not recognize it, even if you came from a really great home where you had love, but you didn't really get that time and the attention and the nurturing. And what happens is a lot of times when we are neglected psychologically and emotionally, we don't put the time and energy into creating ourselves. Obviously, we look for that emotional support outside of ourselves, like within friends and within other things. So maybe again, didn't get that time and attention from parents because they worked or whatever. So you gave more to other people and you kind of neglected yourself. However, you did have resilience, but that trauma of not getting that made you be very psychic to me. Again, made you live more in the imagination, have a very active imagination, have a very strong creative mind, which is close to the spirit, is the intuitive part of the mind, which helps you be resilient. However, it's like I said, like a child, that creative part of the mind. So a little bit naive and optimistic, but then there was a lack of grounding and again support. Again, nature and the outdoors to me is all about grounding. It's all about being connected to the earth, being connected to other people. And if you were always looking for that emotional support outside of you, well, it would always come up short. And it always would come up short because God says we must love it first, and we do that by loving ourselves first. And so when we didn't get it from the family that we grew up in, of course we're going to look for it outside of ourselves. Of course, if we're not guided, if we're not taught, on how to build that relationship with your higher self, with that God part of self, you're not going to do that. What would wind up happening is you're going to look for the answer outside of yourself for that fulfillment. And that's when people have that second chakra imbalance. And that second chakra imbalance is, feeling not good enough. There's a lack. So there's low energy where this person, like you see, they have a very high libido. You see again the conquest, that's what they're doing. They're running around, like sleeping around. They have addictions that's controlling. Someone that's controlling, someone that it has like very narcissistic energy, has a very uh open second chakra. And so it's like out of balance because of that. But it's all because there was, again, an imbalance within the root chakra, no support. Well, that's what you have in common. You didn't have any support either, and it affected your second chakra. So, where that second chakra is all about your unique individuality, who you perceive you are when you look in the mirror. And so, what happens is that you perceive yourself as less than because you didn't create yourself. You wound up getting your love and affection from, friendships and doing things and, but nothing like when we're consistent in creating ourselves, right? Little girls that dream of one day growing up and being whatever it is, or a little boy that dreams about being a baseball player or a soccer player, whatever it is, it's like they have a better opportunity to get it. They have a focus. They're continually like building trust within themselves. They're continually, being led and not through their own mind, but through their passion. See, again, when we give up that passion for life, which is why, again, Jesus died for our passion for life, right? So again, when we give that up, we're actually giving up our spiritual sovereignty. So we have to again integrate the spiritual lessons because we don't want to be our trauma. We don't want to relive those experiences. So the outdoor and nature allows us to connect to other people through a heart-based consciousness, through becoming what we love by doing what we love. Now, every religion, I just know that my religion, but not to be disrespectful to other people's religions, it's all about every god represents the energy of love, and getting to that energy and healing those spiritual blockages, and teaches us how to do that. So it's just one way. Everything should lead back to the energy of love, which including you yourself, when you're doing shadow healing, you're just integrating those spiritual laws into yourself. But to me, dogmatic practice, I don't really follow dogmatic practice because it's man-made. It's more of the religion that you have with that higher self within inside of you. But we always need to know what the symbolization is, why the symbolization is what it is. Otherwise, we wouldn't know how to apply it to our life. We're supposed to be able to apply it to have a successful life, like a roadmap per se. And so, like I said, I never want to be disrespectful to anyone else's um, religion. However, I educate from my religion, from what I believe, because that's what I know. And so, like I said, but I also know that all religions, and even if you didn't believe in a religion, you only believed in the universe, well, guess what? God created the universe, you know? So it's the extension of God, which is love. Again, because God's ubiquitous. So understand you got good things out of being with this person, believe it or not, because when you look at it, you got resilience. You got you became more grounded when you upgraded your DNA and finally got rid of this negativity in your life and said, I want to be a better version of myself. I want to love myself. You took responsibility, got rid of this person. You become more grounded. You become more connected to other people. You were always optimistic. That was never the issue. It was the lack of groundedness. And again, a little too naive. Many, again, too trusting. That's always how you were. You're like, well, it's like, I like to treat people the way I want to be treated. And spirit says, yes, but you had no ground. So you were in the imagination, which is great for creating, right? Because we have to imagine it to become it, to create it. We have to be able to see how things would actually work, creative think, how things would work with the limited structures that we have to work with, because nothing's perfect. So you're able to do that. You didn't put the time and attention to you. You neglected you through this person, and that's why you got a person that neglected you and was like didn't give you what you wanted. And so it was just God's way of telling you this is what you're doing. This is how you're out of alignment with, again, the universe, because we have to be in alignment with that energy of love. That and the Earth's energy vibration is love. It's the frequency of love. That's why plants can grow and flourish on the earth. And when, things are, left to the way that they should be, we should be able to eat from the earth. We should be able to, you know, there's rules to the earth, which are in alignment with God's laws, spiritual laws. So you need to be in alignment with spiritual laws to get the results that you want, is the moral to the story. So again, Spirit says now it's all about nurturing the light within yourself. It's again, nurture the light within you to guide you in dark times, right? Because life isn't easy. It's like while you're on your journey, I mean, things happen, life happens. And when that happens, sometimes, like I said, we can get caught up in the experiences, the relationship drama, or again, the family drama, or the work drama, where Spirit says, again, focus on the good inside of you and the good that's inside in your life. Keep feeding those things. They'll expand. You'll have more of it. The universe will bring you more of it, you know, to build on it. Have courage to act from a place of love instead of fear. Let your heart guide you, which understand that's really difficult if you were hurt. But Spirit says you can do that if you're giving and receiving of love through your free will. You do it safe. So you're not letting someone just come into your life where you're giving and pouring into them. You're actually pouring into yourself because you're creating yourself. So you have to, again, connect to other people and utilize the structures of the physical world. So you have to be very grounded. You're actually a lot more spiritual when you're grounded than you are when you're just up in your head, because you're actually then co-creating with the universe. So again, Spirit says infinite possibilities, boundless opportunities arise when you release fear. So again, fulfill your promise. You have a big soul's path, Spirit is saying. It's like, infinite anything is possible for you. It's like, but you have to, again, like before you get there, understand it might be a little bit tough of a climb. You have people come into your life, drama happens. Remember, focus on the light and let your heart guide you, because by doing what you love, becoming what you love, this way you won't get hurt. That's how you do it properly. You don't just give of your heart to a person. People are like, we can help, help them, and we can utilize people, but there's not one person that's going to give you everything. That's going to fix you, heal you, grow you, most likely not really even give you that much help. It's that if you really want it, you got to become it. You got to believe it. You got to do it. You got to show up for yourself. And it's all about going into the unknown. You can't heal in the same place that you got sick. So remember that. Open your heart to the new where true growth occurs. Call for exploration because we're moving into a whole new life. A whole new life. You have to give yourself the time and attention, is what Spirit's saying. It's like you have to reparent yourself. Part of you doesn't know who you are. And it's like by going into the unknown and really, again, grounding and like acting from a place of love and nurturing yourself, the path unfolds. We're not in charge of how it unfolds. It's going to bring us to people, situations, and experiences that don't just grow us through triggering us or through, again, making us question who we are or what the situation is about, because that's what happens a lot of times, but also to help us to uh, get to our destination. But we should be enjoying the ride, enjoying the actual experience of life. But many of us don't. And that's because there's a lack of a connection to that higher power. And when there's a lack of connection to that, there's a lack of connection to fellow man, because then there's a lack of empathy and sensitivity. Because again, love, we know what comes from love, right? What's driven from love is empathy, sensitivity, compassion, right? So we want to get back to that energy. That's how we know that we can be abundant. That's how we know that we can really create our own heaven on earth. And that's what it's about. It's about being able to take control over your life. And so we leave one more message. One more message, and let's see what that message is. And that message is balance. Find balance between each sphere of your life. You are the master of your daily life. Make time to nourish the spiritual and physical. Bring love to your world by fulfilling the needs of your body and soul. So again, Spirit saying this is all about reparenting yourself. This person would have brought nothing. They would have made you parent them instead of, where Spirit's saying you're going to parent somebody. Better parent yourself, better heal yourself. And so you better make your life look like a pizza pie. There's time for friends, there's time for work, there's time for hobbies, there's time for, again, to create yourself. There's a lot of hours in the day. Show up for yourself and don't neglect your health. Take care of your physical body. But again, also take care of your spiritual body. Take time out to meditate. We pray and that's the way we talk to God and we meditate. And that's how we learn how to hear God and how to, again, have that connection to God. It's all through the body. And if we are detached and disassociated from our physical body, well, then we have a detachment from God. And that's a problem. But one day heaven will be on earth, and that is through the character of man. And that's, again, when we come from that energy of love. It's just that simple. That's what shadow healing is all about. We want to do shadow healing so we can really create the life and the life we want. So Spirit says, what you'll notice is if you're balanced too, you'll never give anyone too much of yourself. You have to set boundaries. If you're someone that has a hard time setting boundaries, which trust me, you would if, you know, you got your love from friends and from, other things, you were reliant on that. So it would be very hard to set boundaries, where boundaries are easier when you have a very rich and full life. You say, I'd love to barb or go out on Wednesday, but I can't because I have such and such. And so you're creating balance in your life within that connection, because a person seeing you too much, it becomes codependent, it becomes toxic. So you're doing it nicely. And you're also showing this person, this is what I do for myself. It makes them say, hey, what should I be doing for myself, right? Birds of a feather flock together. You know, that's really why this person is like, wow, I see like everything that you're doing. I want that. Yeah, they want you to do it for them because, they don't, if they wanted that, they'd be doing that, right? And they just see you're doing a good job. Maybe you can help me. And right now it's all about you, baby. It's all about you. I'm going to leave it there. You let me know how you resonated, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Bye.